सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Together we chant Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verses 1 to 10.
अथ दशमोऽध्यायः। श्रीभगवानुवाच भूय एव महाबाहो शृणु मे परमं वचः यत्तेऽहं प्रीयमाणाय वक्ष्यामि हितकाम्यया। न मे विदुः सुरगणाः प्रभवं न महर्षयः। अहमादिर्हि देवानां महर्षीणां च सर्वशः। यो मामजमनादिं च वेत्ति लोकमहेश्वरम्। असम्मूढः समर्थ्येषु सर्वपापैः प्रमुच्यते। बुद्धिर्ज्ञानमसम्मोहः क्षमा सत्यं दमः शमः। सुखं दुःखं भवो भावः भयं चाभयमेव च। अहिंसा समता तुष्टिः तपोदानं यशो यशः। भवन्ति भावा भूतानां मत्त एव पृथग्विधाः। महर्षयः सप्त पूर्वे चत्वारो मनवस्तथा। मद्भावा मानसा जाताः येषां लोक इमाः प्रजाः। एतां विभूतिं योगं च मम यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः। सोऽविकम्पेन योगेन युज्यते नात्र संशयः। अहं सर्वस्य प्रभवः मत्तः सर्वं प्रवर्तते। इति मत्वा भजन्ते मां बुधा भावसमन्विताः। मच्चित्ता मद्गतप्राणाः बोधयन्तः परस्परम् कथयन्तश्च मां नित्यम् तुष्यन्ति च रमन्ति च तेषां सततयुक्तानां भजतां प्रीतिपूर्वकम् ददामि बुद्धियोगं तं येन मामुपयान्ति ते.
We were studying the characteristics that came from Brahman. We know that everything comes from Brahman. There is nothing that doesn't. The Brahman pervades everything. There is no part that it doesn't. So you may say, why is he listing out these things? Because just to say God is all pervading or everything comes from God, things like that, is very abstract for people. So they make it concrete by saying this has come, this has come, this has come. It is like saying, suppose you are in the dream and somebody tells you that the dream comes from the waker's mind. The entire dream is a projection of the waker's mind. But you don't quite get it. So he says, okay, you see that tree that has come from the mind. You see the river that has come from the mind. You have come from the mind. Your wife has come from the mind. Your children have come from the mind. You start enumerating it because the person is not able to understand the all-pervading nature of the divinity. There is nothing in this world which is not divine. The saint is divine, we understand. The sinner is also divine. It's very difficult for us to understand. The Kashi Vishwanath is divine, we understand. It's very difficult for us to understand that the abattoir is also divine. Very, very difficult for us to understand this. So it keeps on enumerating. So so what is he saying? He's enumerating. It's for us to understand. What he means is everything. All characteristics. Then he will say, you see, he's largely showing only positive characteristics, as if only positive things come from him. No. Everything comes from him. Then why talk of positive things? Because when you talk of negative things, the mind gets agitated. When the mind gets agitated, the intellect cannot think. So then now suppose I tell you of some horrible fellow doing some horrible thing and say that came from God. Then the mind gets agitated. Remember that chap who really hurt you so badly. You know how rudely he spoke to you. All that came from this earth. When you hear that, you get agitated. Oh, remember that guy who was so bad to me. So it's difficult then to take in the knowledge. Therefore, he talks largely of positive things. So the mind is calm and prepared to take in knowledge. That's why knowledge is always taken in a state of calmness. In the Indian tradition, you are aware that if you have had a death in your family or something like that, you're considered ashuddh. That means such people don't go to the temple or they don't associate with divine things. Why not? Because the mind is too agitated at that time to be able to do that. So even women in their monthly cycles are considered ashuddh. Ashuddh means what? Mentally agitated. They get disturbed at that time of the month, or when you've gone through a bad, you're disturbed. What knowledge are you going to deal with at that time? The mind needs to be soothed, not to be, sort of told. Knowledge tends to say, you should do this, you should not do this, that, and all that. It's not for a person who's grieving. A person who is agitated has to be left alone, not given some passion on something. So, since the negative characteristics agitate the mind, is used largely for positive ones. He throws in a couple of negative ones just to let us know that it's the whole thing. It's not just positive. So what does he say? Buddhi starts with Buddhi. Vedanta, Buddhi, equate the two because Buddhi and Vedanta is always going to go together. The whole point of Vedanta is to develop discrimination. With what? With Jnanam. What is Jnanam? The wonderful definition of Vedanta, which is totally, what should I say? Can I use the word agnostic? I don't know. Agnostic of values. A thought enlivened by consciousness is knowledge. Can you imagine? You understand what that even means? It's not even making a comment on the knowledge. If you have a thought which is enlivened by consciousness, which is every thought, that's knowledge. What a definition of knowledge. Because then you're not going into your knowledge is wrong and my knowledge is right. As long as there's a thought enlivened by consciousness, jnanam. So the cockroach has jnanam, the mosquito has jnanam. Because the cockroach feels, it uses its feelers like that, and it goes here and there hunting for food. It's thinking, oh, in this direction food must be or not be. Whatever the cockroach thinks, I have no idea what goes on in the poor cockroach's mind. But whatever goes on, enlivened by consciousness. And the mosquito, imagine for a mosquito when night falls, must be so nice if all these people have gone to sleep. For him, it's I don't know, buffet table laid out, right? You can go anywhere, try different versions, which blood tastes the best, then settle down over there. And dangerous life also, because that fellow gets up, then he'll whack him, and then he's dead. End of story. So imagine how the world is from a mosquito's point of view. He's safer at night. He can drink from a buffet. Won't you also like that buffet? Instead of just one dish, he can go from person to person in the house, have a sip here, have a sip there. How can I think of it from his point of view? And when he does all that, that's all jnanam for him. Asammoha. Asammoha means non-illusion. Non-illusion means what? Who remembers? Let us see now. Anyone listening or I am only talking? Asammoha means?
Never
It's my
lose sight
exam.
of your goal. Never lose sight of your goal.
Yeah. Which goal?
The way to stay undeluded.
Which goal? Correct, you're right, Meera, but which goal?
Self-realization, yeah.
Self-realization. Don't lose sight of that. That is a sammoha. Suppose somebody's goal is to rob a bank. We don't put it as a sammoha. No, he's still in delusion. Some moha, delusion. Sammoha, fully in delusion. So he is in sammoha. He is in delusion. So, what is not being in delusion? Remembering the divinity, remembering that goal in and through everything that goes on. Lots of stuff goes on. Life is a small sport, small board. So many things go on that board. Something good is happening, something bad is happening, something exciting is happening, something boring is happening. Sometimes your students are listening, sometimes they're not listening. Sometimes they've gone all over the place, sometimes they're on bullseye. In and through it all, don't lose sight of what you're doing this for. As we work for the university, but someday we hear some really good news, someday it's become like really bad news. It's the same thing which was yesterday looking so positive, today looks so negative. One man came and offered to sponsor the land for us, all of it. And so, like that sounded so good. But then as we deep dived into it, certain issues came up, which unfortunately we can't do. So now what looked like so positive suddenly became back to square one. So, like snakes and ladders, this game. You go close, you go further, you go close, you go further. Life can be very agitating if you go with this snakes and ladder business. But it will not be agitating if
you keep your goal in sight.
don't just say your goal, say which goal.
Self-realization. The goal of self-realization.
When you know that the eventual goal is that, you understand these are just steps on the way. And if this particular step doesn't work, you can always use another step. When we have somewhere to go, there's not just one route. There are millions of routes. Yesterday, one of my colleagues was telling me that I've tried Jnana, it doesn't work. I've tried karma, I can't do any. I think I'm settling down with bhakti. Because I tried that also. We have a million routes, we can do anything. So many things, right, are there for us. At the moment, we chose this form of karma because this seemed like the best service you could possibly do. Maybe so, maybe not. Whatever it is, the bottom line is we have to head to that final destination. As long as we remember that, we are not deluded. What is deluded? Think of it as snakes and ladders. You know snakes and ladders. Like everybody knows snakes and ladders, correct? Anybody doesn't know snakes and ladders? We used to play it as a child, right? You throw a dice and then you go up a ladder and then you throw a dice and sometimes you come down the ladder, the snake comes down, right? Yeah. All this goes on. Now, you can be very, as a child, you can be very affected by that game. But as an adult, you don't get affected by that game because
You know it's just
You
a
know
game.
it's a game.
you know it's a game. You know it's a game. So therefore, in life, staying undeluded means you understand that final destination. That is unalterable. Everything else is a game. If you get this much clear in your head, then everything is just, oh my God, today you went up the ladder, what fun. Today you came down the snake, how sad. Go up and down, but you don't go up and down. That is called asammoha. You didn't get carried away in the good things, in the bad things, in the rise, in the fall. All this is just part of the game. In Bhakti Yoga, they say it's the Leela of the Lord. Just a Leela. It's a game. It's a dance. It's a performance. The game of the Lord. Play it. Have fun with it. Don't make a burden out of it. You are, how can we not make a burden out of it? It is a burden. How do you not make a burden out of it? How do you ensure that it's never a burden to you?
Daily reflection.
Okay, that is a possibility. What else? What is the real answer?
Not forgetting the goal.
Very good. And don't keep saying Shilpa, correct. Don't say goal, say which goal. Because if your goal is to rob a bank, this won't apply, right? It applies only if your goal is self-realization or at least self-development, something of a higher nature, no? Otherwise, you can't help it. Somebody told me, which I have not verified, that the snakes and ladder game, I don't know if it's true or false, but if it is true, it's a nice idea. We should actually develop it. Where is Aditya? Aditya, he was a gaming guy, no? So we should develop this idea. I don't know if it's true or false. Apparently, somebody said that this snakes and ladder game was actually an Indian game where these snakes were all the negative qualities and the ladders were all the positive qualities. And so you sort of reach realization by going up the positive qualities and coming. It's an interesting concept. I didn't verify if this is true. But anyway, we should use it one day. If we have somebody who knows how to make games, then we can do that.
But Janki-ji, if you go up the ladder and then come down, you've already gone up the ladder according to us as knowledge. Then coming back down,
Gone up the ladder in the sense of development is a different thing, and going up the ladder in the sense of living up to a virtue is a different thing. Suppose, Aditi, you decide, I am never going to get angry. I have a big problem with anger. I'm not going to get angry. Sorry, Aditi, I know you have no such problem. I'm just giving an example, okay? So suppose Aditi is very angry. Then now she has managed to stay 6 months without getting angry. She's gone up the ladder. But on the 6th month, Himanshu said something. Now she got very angry. Now you seem to have come down the ladder. But this up and down happens only when you've not shifted levels. Once you've shifted a level, the question will not arise. But while you're working, then this up and down goes on, which you've noticed, right? You get up in the morning, like maybe 4 months, you did it very well, very regularly. And then suddenly it's gone again. And then 1 month you were not able to do it. And again you're able to do it. All this up and down keeps happening until you shift levels. So yes, you're right. When you grow up, that means you've lost the desire. But until the desire is there, you keep going up and down, up and down. Yeah?
yes, Janki-ji.
Okay, so yeah, Vedic name of snake ladder is Pattam. No, Moksh must be Moksha Pattam. Yeah, probably. I don't know. I mean, I heard it. I didn't verify it, so I don't like to. I mean, in India, not India, everywhere around the world, all sorts of things keep floating around. To know whether something is true or not, you really have to go and verify things. Too much research to do over again. But it's a good idea that we should be able to adopt one day. Salil, sorry, I saw you had raised your hand. It took some time to get there though. Okay, so does asamoha not mean state of dispassion? Yes, it does. The opposite of delusion is dispassion. What means that? But dispassion means remembering remembering the higher, that your goal in life. Yes, so it means that, and that is dispassion.
So what I meant was that does it not mean non-attachment or virage? I mean, in the
Yes,
sense.
it does.
Yeah.
Of course it does. All these are just synonyms. But what do these words mean? They mean that you haven't lost track. How can you be unattached? Because you didn't lose track of that higher reality, the truth of life. That's what makes you unattached. Dispassion, non-attachment, non-delusion, they're all synonymous terms.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Forgiveness, another beautiful quality. The quality of forgiveness comes from the intellectual comprehension that people are what they are. You can take it or you can leave it, but you cannot change it. People, in fact, all beings are what they are. If you had a cat in the house, the cat is what the cat is. The cat will sleep, the cat will purr, the cat will come and rub itself on your leg when it wants to, of course. It will not come when it is called, and it will get irritated with you if you stroke it too much. You should not express too much affection to the cat, it'll get irritated. This is a cat. This is not a dog. A dog will sit and cry until you come and pet it. This is a dog. The dog will bark if it sees another dog. This is a dog. You can take it Or you can leave it, but you cannot change it. You cannot change yourself. You're struggling here to change yourself. You're not being able to achieve it. You're trying to change somebody or something else. पागलपन का हद होता है. You change now yourself. You think it's so easy. Change yourself. Why are you asking somebody else to change? You can take it or you can leave. These are your choices. But you cannot change it. Now either get used to it or keep trying. That's up to you. It doesn't mean you have to bear with everybody behaving badly. You can leave it. And leave it, no? Oh, my husband doesn't pay me any attention. Then leave him. How can I leave him? Where will I get money to live? Then stay with him. How can I stay with him? He doesn't give me any attention. Maar padegi. Make up your mind what you want. This is it. This is the situation. You can stay with a husband who pays you no attention but gives you money. Or you can move out of there and have neither the attention nor the money, I guess. Decide what you want. These are the choices you have brought to yourself. You brought yourself to this point. You don't go blaming other people and other things. How could he marry me and treat me like this? I wish I could tape what these two people talk, both of them, and play it to you. They'll kill me if I do something like that. Let's play that too. The man says, I shouldn't, it's too close. Okay, never mind. He has his own point of view and she has her own point of view. Minimum you people sit down and work out a workable relationship. Minimum you all do that. Some workable relationship. When I say I want you to pay attention to me, what is it I want? Can you give an action, please? What is it you want? I want you to have tea with me every morning. And ask your husband, are you willing to have tea with me every morning? And he says, yes, then you're sorted. If he says no, go back and think in your room again. Say, okay, I want attention. What do I want? What's that action I want from him or her? Figure it out. Go ask the person or figure out a way to make that person do this thing, whatever action you want. And you're sorted. No, I would rather cry, say people are so bad. I love to do this. I like to say people are bad. And my saying they're bad is only a matter of them not doing what I want them to do. Why should they do what I want them to do? Why can't they do what they want to do? Now, I have needs, that is true. Why don't I fulfill my needs in some reasonable manner? I want companionship. Don't I have other ways of having companionship? Whatever I want. I mean, I want solitude. Suppose a man says, I want solitude. Then what exactly you want from your wife? I don't want her to speak to me from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. You ask your wife, are you willing to not speak to me from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock? She says, yes. Then you're sorted. And you live happily ever after. Seems quite simple, no? In class, everything seems very simple. Why does it seem so simple in class? But when you go actually in life, it's never simple. Why in class it all appears so simple?
Because the mind is calm.
Okay, so therefore what has happened?
You've been able
Desires
to
have not sprung up.
Okay,
This is
so what
also
has
theoretical
happened?
knowledge. It takes a little time to practice it and apply to practical life.
No, forget that. I'm saying in class it seems simple, right? When you say it in class and say, yeah, so simple. Why do these husbands and wives quarrel so much? How much they fight, right? But it seems so simple. Correct.
Mind.
because your mind is
The
calm and
mind,
you're not
the
in
mind
the
is-
situation.
Mind is calm, so therefore what happens?
Intellect is sharper.
Yeah. So you can think. And when you can think, it's never sounding complicated. When you cannot think, it sounds very complicated. In any situation, if you just step back, calmly step back and say, what do people want? What does everybody want to be? Can we get actions that everybody wants? And then figure out whether those actions are possible. Now you're very good. Don't cry, Varsha. Why are you crying? I don't know. Is that a crying symbol? Don't see.
No,
Don't see.
embarrassed.
Oh, embarrassed.
This is like a daily thing, right?
Okay. Yeah. When I got married, where is Omkar? Omkar loves to hear these stories. When I got married, I thought that morning tea, okay, I've gotten up, I've studied, I've done my yoga, and then it's time for tea. By that time, my wonderful husband has woken up. Okay, so he has now woken up. My half day has already gone and he has woken up. First, I would go to him and I would say, are you still sleeping? Like, I have you woken up? Can't you see I'm sleeping? No, I will say, have you woken up? Are you awake? Are you awake? You want tea? Like, what are you talking about? What tea doesn't know. But I would go every day to him and I would say, are you awake? His clothes, it's full chadar od ke, he's sleeping comfortably. Are you awake? But he is a very tolerant person, so he would open his eyes and say no, very sadly. Or he'd say, yes, I'm awake. Whatever. Having woken him up very tactfully, according to me, I would then expect tea. But he doesn't want to talk to me in the morning. He can't wake up in the morning. You know what? Talk to me. He wants to only read the newspaper. I think, what nonsense. Well, I haven't even woken up that early or anything, at a very reasonable time. And now I'm saying, well, have tea. You're not having tea with me. Irritating, no? Can't have tea together and then I have to go for a walk. So get up, let's have tea, and then I have to go for my walk. You see what happens here? Everything is about what I want. I want to study. I want to do my yoga. I want to have my tea. I want to go for a walk. Like as if he doesn't exist at all. What does he want? Do we ever ask that question? What does he want? What does she want? We are very moralistic. I want whatever I want is the right thing to want. And whatever you want is not the right thing to want. Who gave us the right to determine which desire for anyone else is right or wrong? Are we the arbitrators of other people's conscience? If I wanted to marry somebody who gets up in the morning and studies, then I should have married such a person. If that was critical for me, then I should have done that. I should have checked. I knew that this is a late riser. At that time, I thought this was advantageous to me. Because I get up late means I am free, to do whatever I want. And then I change my mind midway. Whose fault is it? We don't look at it from anyone's point of view but our own. What is the use of our karma? What is the use of all our unselfishness to the rest of the world when we cannot be sensitive to the need of the person currently opposite me? Currently, at the moment, at any moment, whether I'm talking to my spouse or to my servant or to the dudwala, or am I sensitive to what they want? Or is it all about what I want? With this huge moralistic thing that what I want is obviously the right thing and what you want is obviously the wrong thing. So when your intellect starts functioning, जब जिंदगी से थोड़ी मारपीट मिलती है, intellect starts waking up a little bit and saying, now where am I going wrong? If you think about where am I going wrong, you sort the problem out. But if you think about how wrong everybody else is, you stay with the problem and keep crying for the rest of your life. Quite simple. Figure out, can you make an action? Whatever your problem in life is, can you relate it to an action? What is it you want the other person to do? And find out whether that other person will do that action. If yes, you're good. If no, figure out another thing that you can ask that will solve your problem. Varsha?
Yes.
So your hand is raised, that's why I'm saying.
Oh, no. I don't know how that happened. Sorry.
Okay. I thought you had a... So we are good with asammoha. Asammoha. So, Salil, where are you, Salil? Here you are. Salil, when your focus is on self-realization, on the higher, then what happens is that you're always looking at life from that perspective. When you're looking, it's not just you're remembering, oh, Ram Naam ka jap karna hai, not like that. You're looking at life as a goal. There is a goal to your life. And you're taking actions one after the other, taking you to that goal. When your goal is self-realization, you have to know that self-purification is the stepping stone for self-realization. Since you're going to try and purify yourself, whenever you're agitated, you realize you're making a mistake. Then you start figuring out, okay, so how am I handling this incorrectly? Why am I agitated? If that person is making a mistake, he should be agitated. Why am I agitated? If it be true that my husband is treating me badly by not having tea with me in the morning, then he should be agitated. Why am I agitated? I can only be agitated if I'm doing something wrong. Now it's up to me to figure out what is that thing I'm doing wrong. But isn't it correct that a husband should have tea with his wife? Am I asking for too much? Other wives are asking for diamonds. I only should have tea with me. Go on talking like that and make the matter worse. Go on, grumble. All you want, grumble. Enjoy the grumbling because you're going to be doing it for the rest of your life. Deal with it. So, Salil, are you able to see how when you have that goal in your mind, you're treating it as a goal, not like a whatever, Namsmaran. You're treating it as a goal. Then you start becoming objective towards your own life. You engage your intellect. And that is called dispassion, non-attachment, asammoha, whatever else you want to call it.
Yeah, I understand. So, I mean, and of course, it works the other way around. Once you develop that quality, it will propel you towards the goal.
Yes, you developed it only to get to the goal. No? If it didn't take you there, you will dump this quality. What do you want it for? You will only do whatever it takes to get you there. Then you will stay undeluded, unagitated, which is a sad way of putting it really. You should say, then you stay joyful, cheerful, productive. You get respected by the people around you because you're the only one who manages to keep your head while everybody else around you is losing theirs. Because you know what you're doing.
Yeah, so I mean, when I reflect upon what things cause me to be miserable, I normally find it's expectation from people, situations which actually do not materialize. So the difference between the expectation and the reality, I think, causes the frustration.
Yes. So that teaches us what? This is true for everybody, Salil. Everybody has the same thing.
So
what does
accept
that teach
people,
us?
to accept people and situations as they are.
No. How can you do that? That your mind will never accept that. Suppose your wife, for instance, doesn't make you sarson ka saag and makai ki roti, and you love it, and she doesn't make it for you. Then you will say, what have I asked my wife? सरसों का साग इतना थोड़ा सब कुछ बनाते हैं, ये एक बनाने में क्या जाता है? No, mind will carry on. So, what should we do under this condition?
Go get it from a restaurant.
Okay, so first and foremost, my wife does not enjoy making sarson ka saag and makai ki roti. Do I want to break my marriage on this issue? Question number 1. If your answer is yes, tell her I want a divorce. If your answer is no, then you say I want sarson ka saag. She does not want to make it. What are my alternatives in getting this in the way I want? You don't have to say my wife doesn't make sarson ka saag, so I will never eat sarson ka saag. All you have your desires. She has her desires. Let her desires be fulfilled. Let your desires be fulfilled. Which is true for everybody, right? Let everybody's desires be fulfilled. Sarva santu sukhinaha. Let everybody be happy. What is it you want? Please take. It's not easy. It's truly not easy. When you try to make something in such a way so that everybody will be happy, there will always be somebody who will be unhappy for no rhyme or reason. I'm telling you all this from experience. You try to make everybody happy. You say, everybody, please have whatever you all want. And some people will just not be happy, no matter what. They will condemn you, they will criticize you. Are you condemning you? What is it you want? And sometimes they ask for unreasonable things, which you know you're not going to give them. If you have done everything with the intent that everybody should be happy and satisfied, and some people are not happy and satisfied, you will still sleep peacefully because you know you've done all you could. And you will continue to do all you can. However, other people's happiness is not in your hands. So just very, very carefully remember your goal, what you're trying to do. Remember that you have needs, and remember others have needs, and remember that you have to figure out how everybody's needs get fulfilled. Sometimes people have contradictory needs, so you'll have to figure out a way of making everybody reasonably happy. So when you say I have expectations which are not met, it basically means at its most basic level that
I have a desire which is not being met.
it basically means I've not applied my intellect to know whether I can get water from this desert, whether I can get obedience from my cat. I've not applied basic intellect over here. So when I apply my head and say what is possible and what is not possible, I got that clear in my head. Amongst the people and the, like for now, we are jumping straight in the middle of this COVID story again, right? Now, what is possible and what is not possible? We know. Retreat, not possible. Classes, possible. So what is possible, we do and we enjoy. What is not possible, we put away for another day, another time. So when we've applied our intellect, we've understood. That's the quality of forgiveness we are on. Means you've understood what is the vasana, what is the nature, what is the possibility in this situation. There's no problem at all.
Yeah, so recently I had an issue at my office. So one of the employees, I mean, despite telling him several times that if he's going to come late, he needs to put in a message or inform me, he doesn't do that. I mean, obviously, I expect him to obey my instructions, which he's not doing, which then causes, you know, frustration. But I mean, obviously, he's good in his work, so it's not that I can chuck him out. But again,
Right. So
causing
in
me
your mind, so you expect this gentleman to come at what time?
9.
And he comes at?
I mean, he sometimes come at 9:45, sometimes 9, quarter to 10, or some,
Okay.
even 10 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So in your mind, you say to yourself, not to him, that this chap's reporting time is 10 o'clock. You have the option of throwing him out and losing whatever he's obviously, the fact that he's irritating you and you're still keeping him means he is giving you some value. So therefore, in your mind, all you need to do is say, this chap's reporting time is 10 o'clock. If he comes earlier, bonus. If he doesn't, that's it. Now, sometimes work can get into an issue because he is not there. Okay, so he needs to do something at 9 o'clock, but he's simply not there. Now, that is a problem you have to then solve. How are you going to solve that? What are you going to do? I don't know what his work is, and I don't know. But this is where application of intellect comes in. The moment you start applying yourself, you find your problems really dissolve because you understand the situation. And therefore, what? So now he comes at 10. In my mind, he comes at 10. Okay, now, so therefore, what are the problems generated by that? And how am I dealing with all these various issues that take place? I'll tell you about my maid. My maid cannot come on the time I tell her. So what I do is I keep her to do the work which she does very well, and I keep someone else to do some punctual work. Because no point expecting her to be punctual. She's not going to be punctual. Okay? Shivans. This is one of the mistakes I make most often in being wrong in choosing between prioritizing myself and putting others' needs first. I think I'm not being able to get the concept properly. Could you shed some light on it? In all cases, Shivans, it is the question which is the problem. It is neither your needs nor anyone else's needs. It is what takes you to the goal. So we are not balancing between my needs and other people's needs. We have an idea. What are we trying to achieve? What's that final goal? And based on that, we decide what we're going to do. But if you say, oh, I have to give you, because this question, if you frame it to yourself like this, you'll always be in a quandary. There's no answer to this. It's always goal-based because this doesn't help. Like suppose now you're not married, right? One day you'll get married. Then you'll say, shall I do what my wife says or shall I do what I say? This kind of situation is doomed for disaster. What you think of is not, do I do what my wife says or do I do what I say? What I think of is, what is best for this relationship? So you think goal-oriented, not individual-oriented. Jyoti, but setting your mind that the person comes at 10 want to create a bad example for the other employees. So this is an example of the other issues that will be created. This is where you apply yourself. So think, what do you want to do about this? You want to change your office time itself to 10 o'clock? What do you want to do? So this is how you keep engaging your intellect instead of just saying, oh, he's not late, he's late, he's late. Everybody's every day saying he's late and getting blood pressure. Engage. It's like gears, engage them and figure these things out. There will be problems generated out of it. So what are those problems generated? And how are you going to deal with them? In my case, it's very simple. I can tell my other staff, this is your time, this is her time. It's not so complicated.
So in my case, I mean, it's not so much his coming late. I mean, he's efficient and he does his work still, but it is more a question, or probably my ego being hurt, that this guy is not, despite telling him so many times, he just doesn't listen. So that's probably which is causing me more agony rather than what his output is.
Okay, so step number 1, stop telling him. Because if you never told him that, the question of him disobeying it will not arise. Never give an instruction which you know is not going to be followed. It just puts us in a bad position. Don't do it. You know he's not going to follow it. Don't give that kind of instruction. And if we can't put up with the faults of others, we will not be able to live with anyone, and no one will be able to live with us. Because there's not a single human being who is devoid of faults. That is this beautiful quality of forgiveness. All it means is each individual has his vasanas, and he will helplessly function by those vasanas. You can't instruct him to do otherwise. You can't instruct the snake to not be a snake. You can't instruct the cat to not be a cat. You can't instruct a hot-tempered person to be calm. You cannot instruct an unpunctual person to be on time. It can't be done. If I try to do something impossible and I fail, I have no one to blame but myself. It's an impossible thing. Suppose I instruct Shivans, become a woman. So what are you talking? Can I become a woman? It's exactly like that. Suppose I say, Tinky, become a 16-year-old boy. What are you talking? And then I'm getting all worked up. These people are not following my instructions. They have no power to. They can't do it. Suppose I tell Aditi, stop singing. Then what will happen? She will not listen to me. She doesn't have the ability. Suppose you instruct me, stop doing Vedanta. I can't listen. I don't have that ability. How can I do it? Suppose we tell Manoj, get hair like that afro hair. So how do I get that hair? I don't have that kind of hair. My hair is straight. I cannot even put colors and create, that total afro thing. So when I realize that I am asking for the impossible, it's my problem, not his problem.
Janki ji, sometimes there could be in this instance, in this example, there could be a genuine reason why the person is coming late. And normally what we do that, see, this is my expectation, full stop. But sometimes if we were to just sit down and figure out that is there some issue, what is the problem, what stops you, then you empathize and say, yes, it is difficult, I understand. So I will leave it to your discretion. Somewhere, I think when a person knows that they have the freedom to take, action based on their viveka or discrimination, then perhaps from his side, he may make a greater effort because he's not being treated like a subordinate. I'm not saying it's being done, but I'm just thinking of the example.
Yes,
because
what you're saying is right, totally. Salil is running a business. I'm assuming that he has been doing it for some time. And so he has already done these things and he's still irritated. But what you're saying is right. I'm assuming that he has already tried to figure out why is this person late, tried different ways of getting him to come on time. I'm just taking his data that no matter what he does, he won't come on time. Yeah. But what you're saying is right. Of course, those were the first things to try. But in forgiveness, you understand that according to me, there is no genuine reason for this. And yet this person is doing it. Like my cat is lying down, sleeping. I tell my cat, little cat, come to me. She's doing nothing. Why can't she come to me? No, she won't. I try to understand it from her point of view in the sense that she has some genuine reason. She's very tired. No, she didn't do any work. She's not tired or anything. She just wanted my instruction. So that's a cat. So you have also given a good idea. Let people take charge, and sometimes they do things. But no matter what you do, sometimes they don't. So forgiveness comes in then. Manoj, thanks for explaining forgiveness so well with so many examples. Helps a lot and need more intense effort to apply it consistently. That intense effort, Manoj, is mainly to understand a basic principle. Every being acts by his vasanas. It sounds very boring because you heard it a billion times, but that's all you have to understand. And once you understand this much, you have no problem with any being, human or otherwise. This is a useful question to put, Momita. This is a useful question to put to myself when I feel frustrated. Am I expecting water from a desert and obedience from a cat? More importantly, how does this emotional investment tie in with my goal of self-realization? Because it's a distinct, that's what we just did. No, it's a distinct tie-in. Because if you can't purify yourself, then where is the question of self-realization? Self-purification is the same thing. If you're agitated, then the question only doesn't arise. So your first step is not being agitated. To not be agitated, you have to be purified. To be purified, you have to apply yourself. Now, where on earth is my impurity? Impurity means what nonsense is going on in my head? Once I apply my head to that, then the nonsense I have to just take out and throw away. Expecting impossibles. Expecting my mother not to worry if I'm out late. She will worry. Say, but I'm 40 years old, why are you worrying? No, she will worry. Deal with it. Expecting children to not be irritated because you're worried. Of course they'll be irritated. Deal with it. Suppose Shivanji's mom says, you tell me what time you're coming home. He says, I'll come home by 10 o'clock. And he's still not arrived at 11. Now she's fuming. He has not even looked at his watch. Is it 10 or 11? He doesn't know. He's busy partying with his friends. Then when he comes home, suddenly there's a fusillade at him. Oh, what happened? Then he looks at his watch. Oh my God, it's now 2 o'clock. Now get used to it. You come home at 2 o'clock, your parents will freak. This is the way it is. When you have children, you will sleep when they come late. This is the way it is. Deal with it as best you can. You okay, Mamita? Does forgiveness put one on a higher level? How sweet. We don't want to be higher than anyone else, but if we have the quality of understanding that people will be what they are, we will be less agitated people. We will purify ourselves. So I'm not sure what you mean higher level.
No, what I mean is the person who's forgiving should not start thinking that, see, I'm so magnanimous. He does so much of nonsense, but I forgive him. That attitude may creep in. So how does one, can we guard against that?
Yes, by understanding the principle, each one is working according to his vasanas. Now, if he is working according to vasanas, then what am I forgiving and what am I magnanimous about? What is it? It's raining. Now it's raining. I know it's raining. Means whenever it is raining, it's raining. Now I'm magnanimous. I forgive it for being raining. Bilkul pagal log. What do you say to that? I mean, if you feel magnanimous because you allow people to be what they are, like who are you to allow them? How did we get this power to allow people to be what they are? They are what they are, whether we allow it or we don't allow it. The question of being magnanimous doesn't arise.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
That magnanimous thing, that feeling, then it's not a permanent solution. Because the next time that situation arises, you're back to square one.
So you have to understand the principle.
Yes.
Each one will function according to the vasana. Now, I am allowing you to function according to your vasana. That's like saying I'm allowing the earth to go around the sun. Are you mad? What are you allowing? Who gave you the right to allow? And if you choose not to allow, what is going to happen? most of our thing is just being foolish. I mean, all our problems are basically us being foolish. So when the intellect works, we don't have problems. It's quite simple. Then, truth. Where are we? 1 minute to do truth. Truth. Living by your conviction and conscience. Meaning, in other words, living by your intellect. You are living a truthful life as long as you're doing what according to you is right. And this above all, to thine own self be true. And it must follow as night the day. Thou canst be false to any man. And this above all, you do what you think is right. Not what other people tell you, but you thought about it, you worked at it, you applied yourself, and you decided that this was the right thing. Then you've lived a life of Satyam. And if you didn't do that, then no matter how much truths you told, it was still not a life of Satyam. Okay, so we don't seem to be progressing very much, but we'll try again next time. Hari Om.
No.
Hari Om,
Good
Janki.
progression. Today
Yeah,
was a
very
wonderful
progressive.
Hari Om
session.
Janki ji.
Hari Om Janki ji. Thank you.
Lovely class today.
Hari
Hari
Om
Om
Janki
Janki
ji.
ji. Thank you.
Hari Om ma'am. Hari Om. Hari Om. Thank you, Janki ji.
Thank you, Janki ji.
Hari Om Janki ji.
Hari Om.
Thank you, Hari Om Janki ji.
Hari Om.